You've been using medically accurate terms for the body parts, including the genitals. You've been layering the answer to how babies are made over a period of time. Maybe it's been a few months, maybe years. You have talked about pregnancy and birth at length, and your kids feel completely comfortable asking questions about babies and pregnancy and, of course, birth. And they'll even say words like penis and vagina like it's just shoulder and elbow. The home environment you've created is comfortable and it encourages your child's curiosity. So they come to you with their questions. They know that you are totally willing to answer their questions. And so if you are caught off guard, you'll just say IDK, but then you'll get back to them with an answer. That deserves kudos. And I am giving you all the kudos because creating that type of home environment takes effort and it doesn't happen overnight. So here's where we're at. Your kid is now probably in the intermediate or early middle school age, and they have critically thought about this process. They're thinking, okay, so in order for a baby to be made, it takes a sperm and an egg. Got that? But if a sperm is in a male's body and an egg is in a female's body, how does that sperm and egg meet? Now, we both know that we're not talking about making babies in a lab here. So put that one to the side. How does the sperm meet the egg? Now, of course, you've watched this video, so you know what to say. You know to use medically accurate terms, and in order for that sperm to meet the egg, the penis has to go into the vagina. You've got those words out of your mouth and answered their question in a medically accurate and age-appropriate way, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But your kid is processing it. They're not done with their questions. You're holding tight because they're about to ask you this question. Okay, so the penis goes into the vagina and then the sperm just immediately come out? And so now you're thinking, should I clarify that it's not sperm that come out of the penis? Or are they asking about the motion that's needed? And while you're thinking about that, you start thinking, is this even appropriate for their age? Exactly how much detail do I need to go into here? Is this just weird to explain to my kid? Is it even necessary? Let me get rid of that self-doubt for you. Your kid feels comfortable asking you these questions. They see you as a reliable source of information, and they know you will give them an honest answer because you always have. Don't fumble it here. Your kid is just being curious, and they're critically thinking, which is a really good thing. Now, I know the reason you're feeling nervous here with this question. It's because you know that you're going to have to explain that in order for the semen to come out of the penis, there's going to need to be a back and forth motion against the vagina. And this back and forth motion can feel good. It can even be fun. And for the adults who do this, they do this for pleasure as well as for making babies. That's what makes this hard. This is a critical layer to the next part of the sex talks, which is the sex talk, right? It's explaining vaginal, anal, and oral sex. And it's also a precursor to the masturbation talk, and in the not so distant future, the porn talk. This question should be your light bulb moment to realizing that those 3 sex talks are on its way. And if you're wondering, how in the world do I explain sex, masturbation, and porn to my intermediate or middle school age child, then I will invite you to fill out this form that is linked in the description and comments. I've created the Top 3 Talks parenting course and program that gives you a roadmap to setting up and delivering the layers to each of these topics to your kid. By the end of the course, you will have your outline, your map of the questions that are coming up, how to answer them, and what to do if your kid isn't asking these questions yet. It's a streamlined, self-paced course, and then afterwards you get to join the parenting program for free, which is a monthly live happy hour with me where I share parenting tips, discuss news and entertainment, and teach you how to have teachable moments about the sex talks and incorporate that into your daily routines with your kids. So go ahead and fill out this form, and I will be in touch with you to set up a Zoom call, and we can discuss if the Top 3 Talks parenting course is right for you. Okay, so let's get back to this transitioning moment in the sex talks. Your kid is observing the world around them. They consistently see public displays of affection on TV shows and movies with characters who kiss, hug, and enjoy being together. They are capable of understanding that there are things that feel good and not so good. They are also able to understand that because it involves the genitals, this is not something children do. This is something that adults do with other adults. So when they ask you this question, you can answer it with the intention of introducing new medically accurate terms and bridging the how babies are made talk to the what is sex talk. You can say something to the effect of, "That's a great question, and I really like how you're critically thinking about this process. It's important to understand how it works and why it's not something children do." When the penis goes into the vagina, the sperm don't just come out immediately. The body is amazing, and it knows this, so it makes the fluid for the sperm so that they can swim. When the sperm are in this fluid, that's called semen. And when the semen, the sperm in the fluid, leave the penis, that's called ejaculation. Now, before the penis goes into the vagina, the spongy tissue inside the penis fills with blood, making the penis feel firm or hard. Meanwhile, the vagina is making more vaginal fluids. Now, this hard penis, also known as an erect penis, goes into the vagina, and then there would be some form of back and forth movement against the walls of the vagina. This back and forth movement would continue for a number of minutes and would generally feel good for adults and not painful. Eventually, this leads to ejaculation. And you remember what that is. Yeah. And so then the semen comes out of the penis and the sperm can swim to meet the egg. And that's it. That's the answer. But I know some of you are thinking, isn't this a bit much for an 8-year-old? Or maybe you're thinking, is telling my kid that adults do this for fun going to make them curious and want to try it? If you're finding this video to be somewhat helpful, you can let me know in the comments, or you could, only if you want to. Let me address these. Let me address your concerns. Explaining semen, erections, ejaculation, and vaginal discharge are not going to harm your child in any way. You're just adding to their body of knowledge about the human body and the process of making babies. And at the same time, you're starting to introduce key terms that will help when you start explaining puberty changes, menstruation, masturbation, and sex. This is easing you into the next level of sex talks, which is talking about sex for pleasure. It's a transition that many parents fail to make during the intermediate age years. So for these parents, they talk lots about pregnancy and birth during the primary age years, and it goes really well. But then they skip over these types of questions during the intermediate age years for a number of reasons, a variety of reasons. And so when they start to have the sex talks in the middle school age years, because now they are ready to start talking and introducing the idea that sex can be for pleasure, their kids are not as receptive to hearing about it, or at least not interested in asking them questions because they've already heard about it. During the intermediate age, kids naturally view sex as gross, and they cannot believe that adults do this. Take the opportunity here to prevent potential child sexual abuse. Give them knowledge that's a foundation to the puberty talks. And by answering their questions honestly now, you know exactly what they know because they are asking you and not their friends or the internet. The thing is, most kids want to go and ask their parents their sex questions, but for many parents, they don't know how to answer these questions, or they're embarrassed to talk about sex, or maybe they're simply just unprepared, so therefore they just avoid these topics. According to the World Health Organization, it's within the age range to list the steps necessary for reproduction to occur. So if your 8-year-old isn't asking this question right now, that's okay. You know it's on the horizon and you're ready with a response. Now, you may have noticed that I did not say the word sex when explaining that back and forth movement, and I did so intentionally. I wanted to show you that you can explain this process without saying the word sex and opening the doors to that talk, but it is the next talk. Maybe your kid says right after you finish explaining that back and forth motion, "Is that what sex is?" Then you could say, "Yes, that's what vaginal sex is." And the transition to the sex talks has been made. And if you want to know how to explain what is sex, you can check out this video. Or if you just want to know how to explain oral or anal, you can check out those. I'm Kathleen, and I make videos, courses, and content for parents on how to have the modern day sex talks.